This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Luke Sylvia and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic! What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is October 26, 2023. Jonathan Osborne here, as always, joined by my co-host, Luke Sylvia, the night of opening night. Luke, what are we doing? It is after midnight. It is almost 1 a.m. we're recording right now.
Yeah, not often do you and I never go to games on nights that we record because of this reason. The only time this happens is West Coast road trips if it falls on a Sunday or Wednesday night when we record. But instead, Jonathan, you and I tonight sit side by side in good old Amway and get to just see our boys just give the Houston Rockets the work. They didn't know it hit them. They didn't know. It was incredible.
It really was. I'm going to let you all know right now. If you came for analysis, I don't know how much we're going to give you on that end. If you came for the vibes, boy, oh boy, do we have the vibes for you tonight.
I can handle that, yeah.
We'll talk, in greater detail about this game in just a little bit, but a massive 116-86 win at home, the season opener, the home opener for the Orlando Magic, and the biggest win in opening night history for the Orlando Magic. Just from the beginning of this game, getting to Amway, getting to your seat, all of the pregame festivities, the pregame intros, Rashard and Hito being there, just like the vibes were at an all-time high from the very jump in this game, Luke. Before we get deeply into the game, why don't you give us a quick word from our friends over at Jam Hot Chicken?
Jonathan, I'm glad you asked. Jam Hot Chicken's proudly serving the city beautiful, and they're bringing jams, culture, and hot chicken to the heart of Winter Park. Number 4 on Yelp's top Florida restaurants of 2023, located at 400 West New England Avenue, Suite 13 in Hannibal Square. You guys can follow them, find them on all social media at Jam Hot Chicken. Go check them out. Go to the actual restaurant. Let them know the Sixth Man Show sent you. And man, all we hear is good things about this place, whether it's us going, whether it's our listeners going. Not heard a single bad thing about this place. And I think people would tell us if there was something bad about this place, man. Everyone loves it. And you went there today on the way to Orlando to Amway and ran into a listener there as well.
My second time there in 2 weeks. Both times I've run into listeners of the show. So that we're doing something right. We're getting people there. And another rave review. They said, you guys did not overhype this. This is fantastic. This guy has been to Nashville and gone to like Hattie B's. And he said, this is like right up there with Hattie B's. So Jam Hot Chicken, make sure you go ahead and check it out there. If you're watching these Magic games like the rest of us and you want a place to talk about the games immediately after the game, make sure you're tuning into our YouTube channel to the post-game live presented by Rock'em. Our boy producer Kevin is bringing most of those immediately after every single Magic game. And then, I don't know if we want to talk about this right now, but the Sixth Fan Show tonight outside of Amway immediately after the game.
Electric.
All-time vibes, like just great energy. It was so much fun. So we're doing this. We really got it. It's like a European soccer thing for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But our boy Ben is going to be outside. Like we're trying to do 20 games this year where fans can be out there and give their takes, give their opinions, celebrate, rant, whatever they want to do, talk about this team. Like we're trying to give you all a platform to be able to do that. So we'll be announcing those games as we go along. I think the next is going to be November 6th when we're taking on the Dallas Mavericks. So if you're going to be at that game, on the way outside, you'll see Ben with his ring light, with the camera, the microphone, and everything like that. So make sure that you stop by for those. Those have just been a ton of fun. Luke, one last thing before we get into the game. We talked on Monday's episode That was the deadline for Cole, for Chuma to sign their extensions. Chuma did not sign an extension. We didn't see the Cole extension coming, especially at the price that we got it. 3-year, $39 million. It comes out to $13 million a year. I mean, it's only one game into the season. We'll talk about how great Cole was tonight. But this just, from the moment that Woj announced it, it seemed like a steal. I couldn't believe that, one, they were able to get a deal done, and two, it was at such a team-friendly price, with the third year being a team option, Luke.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't that's the part that, well, I couldn't believe all of it, to be honest with you. But, and we won't spend too much time talking about this because we know you guys are here to listen to us react about this game and being in the arena for it. But Cole was a huge part of that win, like you said. And the contracts, like, we didn't think the number was going to be that low. We had projected pretty much anywhere between like 18 to 20, 17 to 20, something like that. And then comes down to it, Weltman gets the job done, and it's what what I put on X. I said, this is just a testament to how much these players have bought into this team. And maybe part of it came into like Cole's agents realizing that for an undersized guard, this is the market. For an undersized guard that, you know, was believed to be a liability defensively, and we can talk about that as well, and how that's not true with the game tonight. So every bit earned his contract. The Magic got away with a steal for sure, but again, a testament to how much he loves this city, and he said he hopes he plays here forever. Really spoke highly about Orlando, which doesn't come as a surprise.
Jeff Weltman, once again, he's going into contract negotiations with these agents, and he's putting on a ski mask. Whatever this guy has to do, I don't know how the heck he is doing it. But Jeff, buddy, old pal, if you're watching, if you're listening, you just keep doing what you're doing, because you are doing it right, my friend. Getting these great players on bargain deals and continuing to, retain the talent that we have as we continue to build this team around Paolo and Franz. Just well freaking done, sir. Like, just absolutely fantastic job. All right. Enough is enough. Let's talk about this game, man. I talked about it from the moment that you stepped into the building. We tweeted this, or we X'd it, whatever. This was not quite a playoff atmosphere. You and I were both in the building, 2019 Game 3 versus the Toronto Raptors. That was the coolest atmosphere I've ever been a part of at a game. Now, this game ended up being infinitely more fun than that game.
True.
But I would say the intensity was probably 85 to 90% of that of a playoff game. It wasn't quite there, but man, if it wasn't close. Everybody was in their seats at tip-off. Everybody was on their feet to start the game. Everybody was cheering. They do the player intros, which they did a little bit different. Well, they started to do it a little bit different in the last couple of years, where they'll introduce one player at one side of the court and then the other, and they just sort of go back and forth. I think they utilized the 3-2-1 hype crew and the other dance squad that I don't remember the name of it, but basically setting up mobs of Magic fans behind the players during the intros. And it just made for this really cool vibe and effect. And the Orlando Magic theme song that has been remixed by Ayo, the producer, it was just really, really dope. And then Rashard and Hito coming out of nowhere, I lost my mind. I wasn't expecting that whatsoever. Those guys wearing the Jeff Hamilton jackets and addressing the crowd and getting everybody hyped for the 35th anniversary season. This game from even before the tip was so much fun.
Yeah, and production team killed it. I'll give a shout out to Caleb Pardick, who does a lot of the in-house, oversees a lot of the in-house stuff, is in the control room during the game. He, I texted him I think I just said good luck with the show and all of that. And he texted me after the intros and he said, "What'd you think?" And dude, it was incredible. And I think that what I appreciated was the ability and the willingness to change what they were doing. Just say that maybe this didn't work in the past or whatever last year. they had you like on the app on the phone with your flashlight out, and it was like synchronized and all that. This year they just went with bracelets on every seat. I'm sure it's much more expensive that way, but to go all out for the home opener, you have to do something like that. And was done to perfection. They were very interactive, the bracelets, and lighting up when the team scored just throughout the game, kept it like part of the night instead of it just being a one and done thing. So they did great from the concepts to execution. Production was next level tonight.
Well, let's talk about the game. I mean, from the jump, the Magic were really all over the Rockets. Jalen Suggs hits the first basket, the first three. They're sort of going back and forth. Houston takes the lead in the first quarter for all of like a minute 40 seconds before the Magic get it back. And you heard us at the top of the show, 116-86. Second half of this game was not particularly close. Once the Magic got the lead early in the once they got the lead back early in the first quarter, just never looked back in this game. I mean, Franz gets you going in the first quarter, 11 points. Starts like 3 of 3 from behind the arc. Just like offensively got this team going in the right direction, outscoring the Houston Rockets 29-20 in the first quarter. And in the second quarter, it was really the Cole Anthony show. Cole Anthony, 8 points, 4 of 5, added three rebounds, 1 assist in that second quarter. And like the bench unit in years past, I know we're going to talk sort of like high level about this team, just what tonight means and maybe what it doesn't mean. But it's been so long since we've had a reliable bench unit that if the starters are playing well, bench can come in and just sort of keep things going, or in this game, like really extended the lead. And the Magic have a nice little lead going into halftime. What was it? I have that here. It was 54-43 at half, and you're feeling pretty good about things. Fred VanVleet, by the way, the $40 million a year man for them, was 3 points in the first half, got things going a little bit in that third quarter, hitting some threes, which really closed the gap for the Magic before, again, second unit came in. Cole Anthony, Jonathan Isaac just took over and put this game away, Luke. And that's when the crowd really got going. Like that, the sequence from Jonathan Isaac, where he had like the tip slam that he was like pushed in the back from Dylan Brooks, who's such a loser, by the way, and one makes the free throw, and then has a fast break layup from Cole, has the massive block on Jalen Green to end the third quarter, like standing over him. That was genuinely the loudest I have heard that building in a long time, like 2019 included, like that playoff series included. Sometimes I have to remind myself that like social media isn't a real place, and opinions that you see reflected there aren't always the opinions of like actual people. Because like if you're on social media the last couple of years, you think just everybody hates Jonathan Isaac, right? And I've gotten into it with people on social media, whatever. Tonight, anytime the kid did anything, whether he came into the game, if he left the game, if he made a play, like standing ovation after standing ovation. And I don't know if there's anybody more deserving after everything that this kid has gone through. And it's just one game, right? But man, if that wasn't so much fun in that freaking third quarter with this team playing as well as they were.
Jonathan Isaac in this one finishes with 11 points and 4 rebounds, 4 of 6 from the field. He hits a 3 as well, 2 of 3 from the free throw line. The biggest thing to me was just the confidence that he played with in this game. He gets the block, obviously, on Jalen Green that we've all probably watched 45 times by now.
Which I guess wasn't a block.
Right. They didn't count it as such. But if you watch the baseline video, even like from the baseline, the first like frame where J.I. is going up, you can tell that he at least gets a piece of the side of the ball, enough to, like you said, the way he was flexing, you definitely know that he thinks, and he probably did get a piece of this. But anyway, bodies Jalen Green. he said it in his presser. I saw Jalen Green coming, and I said, I'm either he's going to dunk on me or I'm going to block it, but I'm going up regardless and just going to give it everything I have on this play. And he absolutely did. My favorite part of the whole thing, as was probably everybody else's, was him blocking this, standing over Jalen Green and just flexing, just rolling up his shoulders and flexing on Jalen Green.
It's not like J.I. to do that.
No, and it was different, and I love it. And I think that he's just got that confidence now. And while this game maybe doesn't mean a ton for the outlook, like this doesn't necessarily speak to his future and how he's going to play in the future, but it is a good indicator, and it's not nothing. And it's also, more than anything, a huge confidence boost to a guy that's played 11 games in the past few seasons. He needs any moment like that to just get him going, reassure himself, and just understand that the fans have his back. Social media is a toxic place. I don't know how much Jay actually pays attention to what's being said, but he's not blind to it, that's for sure. And so for him to receive those ovations, they asked him about it in the presser as well, just about the fans and the interaction. Raved about that, about he could feel the shift and the momentum on that run. Jamal Mosley was also like, he went out of his way at the beginning of his press conference to say the fans in tonight's game like made a difference. We could feel it. And he even circled back to it later on kind of an unrelated question and was like, I'm sorry I'm bringing it up again, but like, the fans just really played a huge part. This is the role that fans have. They're there to be the hype men for their team in big moments, to give them even more confidence, to kind of mark the moment. Jonathan Isaac is never going to forget that block, not just because of what ensued on the court, but because of the eruption of all the Magic fans who, I'm getting chills talking about it.
I am. I'm getting low-key getting emotional.
The fans behind him, man, like, this dude has such a promising future. And I'm so proud of him, to be honest with you. And I can't wait to see how the season plays out.
You and I were in the building last year against the Celtics in the home opener. Mm-hmm. And we raved about that crowd. Yeah. That crowd could not hold a candle to the crowd tonight. Mm-hmm. Like, Magic fans, you guys absolutely freaking brought it. And this is the excitement that we've been talking about all off season, and to see it like manifest in that crowd and that game tonight, like, to me, that's one of the most exciting things. Like, Kevin talked about it in the post game live. Like, every couple of years, it feels like we've hyped up this team. Whether it was like the Serge Ibaka, Bismack Biyombo, Mario Hezonja, like Orlando team, like, oh, we're gonna make the playoffs. Whether it was like the 2019, 2020 team, like, oh, we're running it back. Like, we're coming back off of the playoffs. We ended the year, what was it? 22-9 over the last 31 games. Mm-hmm. We're going to pick back up like right where we ended, and have been disappointed again and again and again. So after hyping up this team for the past 6+ months, and like, okay, here we go. We're going to see, how wrong we are yet again. And like, just Houston is not a great team. Like, they're just figuring things out. A bunch of new players on that team. They got rookies and so on and so forth. But to beat an NBA team by 30 points when you've been hyping yourself up all offseason, and everybody's talking about the expectations, like, this became a 1-point game midway through the third quarter. Fred VanVleet, like, their whole team started hitting threes. I mean, for the game, they end up shooting 12 for 34. So it was, 35%. A lot of that came, late in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. For like the first half plus of this game, they were shooting close to 50% from three. And that was really the difference in the game, because the Magic were doing all the right things. There were some turnovers, but crushed Houston on the glass tonight. Ended up with a 56-31 rebounding advantage. But the 3-point shot is for the most part what kept Houston in the game for the first 2.5 quarters. And it was like, okay, is this team going to crumble like we've seen them do in years past if they have a big lead and then give it up? But no, they go on a big run, capped off by that Jonathan Isaac, block or whatever you want to call it, at the end of the third quarter there, and then just blow the doors off them in the fourth quarter. And then the third unit comes in and even builds on the lead that we already had. But to your point about JI, one, I'm never going to forget that block as long as I live. I'll never forget that play because where we were sitting, we had like the perfect look at the block and like the perfect angle of his reaction. And seeing him like roll his shoulders up and like sort of stand over Jalen Green, I was like, yo, this is different. And you could tell that block and that sequence of moments and the way that he and Cole in that second unit were able to impact this game, like that's like 4 years of fight and frustration and resilience and like wondering if you're ever going to be that guy again. And he was asking the presser, like, was that your like I'm back moment? And he's like, yeah, like it was. And we talked about, he most likely was on a minutes restriction. We saw him play a really big stretch in that first half. He played 8.5 minutes in the first half, played 5.5 minutes in the second half for a total of 14 minutes, 9 seconds. So still playing on the minutes restriction, but when we saw him play that long stretch in the first half and then come out and then didn't come in with the second unit like right away in the second half, we're like, oh no, are we really going to do this where he plays a big stretch in the first half and then doesn't play the second half at all? But then we got to see him like come back and check in. There's so much that we can talk about in this game. Like, where do we want to go next? Do we want to talk about the starters?
I mean, I would love to. There's a lot of things, like you said, we'd like to talk about in total, but Franz Wagner,
him,
the man on the court looked like his thinking was, I'm the best player on this court, and there's nothing that any of you guys can do to stop me. Incredible. 11 points in that first quarter in 9 minutes. 11 points, 3 of 5 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3. I was in the first half, I was taking notes as the game was happening. And I put one of my notes, I put 4 of 6 from 3 in the first 5 minutes as a team, not a Franz specific stat. But then my next line that I put, it was just all caps Franz with about 7 exclamation points. That was after he hit, his final 3, I believe is what it would be. But man, he was so impressive. Just, yeah, I mean, he's the Franz that we know that he is and what he can do. We know what he can do. And when he asserts himself to be the guy, he can do it. And that's just what we saw tonight. He was awesome.
Let's, I think, because we're going to take a break here in a couple of minutes. I think, is there anything else that we really want to talk about from like a team specific standpoint? Like turnovers,
right?
14 to Houston to 18. So especially in the first half, like there was a lot of turnovers.
I think we had 16 turnovers, unless NBA.com's got them different. I know
NBA.com does have it a little bit different. They have it at 8 turnovers in the first half. So 8 in the first and then 6 in the the second half.
Okay, so
I'll take that all day. But yeah, there are some things that we want to clean up. I think the shot selection, especially in the first half, Magic 6 of 18 from 3 in the first half, not exactly ideal. 3 of 16 in the second half, good for 9 of 34 on the night. Franz with 3 of 7 of those, 26.5%. Like is really not going to cut it. When Houston was making that run in the third, I was a little bit concerned because I was like, they're making 3s and we're making 2s. And eventually, like, that's how they're going to close the gap. So this team absolutely has to shoot the ball better. But man, when you have a 25 rebound advantage on a team and you're shooting 48% from the floor, this team had 16 offensive rebounds tonight.
the big
It's
difference.
just too much for any team to overcome. If it's the Rock, if it's the Celtics or whoever. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this was just a night for the most part. Like, outside of the 3-point shooting, the
Yeah.
Magic really were not doing much wrong.
Well, you hear often when it comes to football, when people talk about defense, you hear them talking about like the defense was just flying around, right? You hear that used a lot. This offense was just flying around when it came to the offensive glass. I'm going to go down real quick, Jonathan, as far as like offensive rebounds from a team standpoint for like individually, right? Franz has 2 offensive rebounds. Dell has 4. Fultz has 3. Suggs gets 1. J.I. gets 1. Goga gets 1. Cole Anthony gets 1. Gary Harris gets 3. Like, going down the list, these guys were awesome. A lot of them getting a lot of these players, and you and I, this is something you brought up, was how many players were in double digits, and we had 6 with a couple not far behind. And then the other thing that the team did super well tonight was getting to the free throw line, but not just getting to the free throw line. Unlike Houston, they were making their free throws tonight. Houston goes 10 of 16 for 62%, 62.5% from the line. The Magic, 23 of 26, 88.5%. You're getting to the free throw line at will. Franz shoots 6 of them, I believe. Paolo shoots 7, goes 6 of 7. Franz goes 6 of 6. Leading by example, getting to the free throw line, getting things going, and making your free throws. That's an area we want a guy like Paolo Banchero, which we can talk about after the break. But that's an area you want him to improve in. And tonight he showed he's very capable of a 6 of 7 from the free throw line, even when he can't really get it going offensively when it comes to scoring the basketball, because he still had a good game, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk like individuals in a moment
Mm-hmm.
here, but just like from a team perspective, it's the first game of the year. You're playing a bad opponent. You blow them out. It's not like the Magic necessarily played like a perfect game, but I think what stands out to me is there's no red flags tonight. Like, that's one thing. There are certain things that maybe we could have done a little bit better, really, from like individuals. But as a team, I don't see any like glaring thing that was wrong tonight that, like, oh well, sure, you blew them out, but it was like really because of this and you sort of got lucky. Like, no. One of the things about the NBA is you need to beat the teams that you should beat. That's been an issue for the Magic for years, is playing up and down the competition. When a team comes into town that you should beat, go ahead and blow the doors off of them like you did
Mm-hmm.
against Houston tonight. So just one game, but you don't get to the playoffs, until you start winning games. And
Can,
we played one, we won one. We're good so far.
can I say something else? I'm going to say something else.
Please do.
I was not going to, but I'm going to now. After the game, I was looking at like Twitter Spaces, things like that. The Rockets are in a Twitter space, right? Rockets fans are all in a Twitter space, and there is this guy going just in on the Magic and congrats, you guys, won the opener, blah 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 blah. We didn't just win the opener. We blew your doors into oblivion and beat you by 30, the largest home opener win in the history of the organization. Left you guys with tail between your legs, wondering why you guys paid those guys the money you paid them. And they're going to try to talk themselves into why they're rationalizing paying these guys. After watching tonight, yes, your team has to gel. They got to learn what they got to do. Van Vliet needs to get more shots early. He did not in this game. He just was not shooting very much. They weren't finding him. Just blew the doors off you. So the Magic are here. And he said, you guys better be good this year. We're going to be good this year. I don't know what to tell you. We're going to be good. We're going to be much better than years past. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I certainly hope so. Let's just talk about our patrons really, really quickly. So, you guys are the reason that we're able to do stuff like what we did tonight, doing the podcast, doing the post game live, doing the Six Fan Show. All of that is made possible like directly from the support of our patrons. So if you'd like to join our Patreon and help support the show, in any way that you can. You can find us at patreon.com/the Six Man Show. Come and be a part of our community. Some of our tiers have benefits like joining our Discord community. We have monthly Zoom calls where we just hang out with patrons and talk Orlando Magic basketball. Sometimes we talk other stuff as well. Just try to have fun with that. But we also shout out our Hall of Fame and Elite tier patrons on each and every episode. So I'll go ahead and start with the Court Cousins, Drew Gooden, Armin, Carson Tulo, Jonathan Borges, Normal, Magic Player History, Gabe Gaines, Wiffle, Michael Martin, Jamel Miller, Michael Salapong, Donkey Punch Dave, Paolo and Franz's Warmth, which, by the way, Paolo and Franz's Warmth is also a patron of Orlando Magic UK. And I was listening to their recent episode and they're reading off their patrons and he uses the same name, Paolo and Franz's Warmth. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Pierre A, Dylan Holden, Mr. Mikey, Eduardo Sanchez, Drummy, Danimal, Dedo 15, Bobby Skinner, PV in the Mix, Goody 93, Teddy Sylvia, Eric Lopez, Fuchsia, Juan Geraldo, Bill Fulton, Edmund Lagone, Jose Esquilin, Destined for Greatness, Caleb Pete, Cannibalism, Time Mr. TV, ESPN Really Sucks, Gear 95 Shred, Junior Bruce, Half Freakin', Shahin 177, Bulby the Dawn, Himlo, Ban Himro, R Improv 221, Ray Pastrana, Magic Kid 714, Spanking Season, Soft Taco, Fuego Nando, Victor Cologne, Irish Magic Mike, Austin Lampete, Random Hustle, Only Franz, Maria, Keith Wallace, Fritz, Currency Kev, Bruv Sal, Kason Green, Santi, Leon, and Kane Eckler. A big thank you to all of our patrons. If you want to join our Patreon, you can find us at patreon.com/the Six Man Show. Talking about individuals, Luke, I guess we'll really just start going through the box score here. I feel like we've talked a good amount, about Franz and the game that he played. Paolo Banchero, looking at the stat sheet, like that's one of the first things that's going to jump out to you. He only had 12 points on 6 field goal attempts, but was 6 of 7 from the line. But I don't think you can't look at Paolo's box score and really gauge his impact tonight. Like 12 points, but had 5 rebounds, 5 assists to 1 turnover and a steal, and was also solid defensively. Like Paolo is recognizing like, hey, this team is loading up. Like they're not letting me get to the basket. Like they're double teaming him before he has the chance to get there. And he's doing exactly what he should in those situations. He's swinging the ball, finding the open man. And that's not always leading to an assist, but it's either leading to a hockey assist or it's leading to a really good look. Like almost every time Paolo got the ball in his hands, it was ending in a good look for the Magic. So I understand the concern being is how he didn't put up big scoring numbers in the preseason and now is starting the year with just 12 points per game. But when teams realize that, look, we can't just load up on Paolo because these other guys are going to beat us, that's going to take some adjustment, from teams around the league. But right now, they're saying we're not going to let their best player beat us. And I really think it's just going to be a matter of time until teams start to adjust to the fact that, like, okay, well then Franz or Markel or Wendell or maybe Jalen or Cole or whoever, somebody else is going to kill you if you're devoting that much attention to Paolo, Luke.
And it all goes into just how many players on this team had double digits or close to it in the points category tonight. But you load up on Paolo, Franz scores 19, Cole has 20, right? Like it all goes back to what I was saying in the preseason. If you can win games when your star player doesn't have high point totals, then that is a good sign for your team. You might be a good team if. And that's what this team is continuing to show us. Mosley talks about it so much when he says, we all know this is a team that is going to win and play by committee. And everybody gets it. And I think that is what is so special about Paolo in year 2 already, is that he doesn't feel like he has to force anything. If it's not there, he makes the right play. You can't look at his 12 points and just say point blank, oh, Paolo must have had a rough game or Paolo had a mediocre game. He shot 3 of 6 from the field. It was his lowest field goal attempts in a game in a Magic uniform. And the Magic won by 30. It's a testament to this team, man. Here? It's a testament to this team. Paolo understands. And guess what? There's going to be games where Franz Wagner scores 12 points. Paolo scores 19, 20. whatever it might be. Heck, at this point, there might be a game where Franz scores 10, Paolo scores 10, but Cole scores 35. These nights are going to happen. It is one sample size, and it is so hard to keep things in perspective when you only have one game to go off of. But like I said, your star player with 12 points and you win by 30 seems okay to me. The sky's not falling.
If you would have told me before the game that Paolo scores 12 points, I would have said we lost.
Of course.
Honestly.
But
you win by 30.
Yeah,
with
but
him
then if I
doing
tell
that.
you he has 5 assists and 5 rebounds and 1 turnover and a steal, you might say, oh, maybe there's a chance. He just did the other things well.
Yeah, the thing is, like he was just taking what the defense gave him. Like there were like maybe 1 or 2 opportunities that I felt like, okay, maybe he could have forced the issue a little bit, but for the most part was just letting the game come to him. And sure, maybe do you want to see him be a little bit more aggressive? But I think it was in that second quarter where he did get a little bit more aggressive. Yeah, he had 6, of his 12 points in the second quarter, 4 of 5 at the free throw line. Like when he sort of felt like the offense was bogging down a bit, and he was like, okay, this is the couple of minutes where I have to get a little bit more aggressive here, and did so in getting to the free throw line.
Yeah.
But when you've got the second unit playing the way that they played, I'm trying to pull up their plus minus. So like Cole plus 17, Mo 13, Gary Harris 8, Joe Ingles 9, Jonathan Isaac 10, and then you got the third unit, and all of those guys were a plus 9. And when you've got that, like guys don't have to force the issue. You're playing even with the starting lineup, or maybe a bit better, like they did for the most part. And then man, the second and third units come in and just keep building on the lead. I don't think that is something that can be overstated. Like, we just haven't had that in so long. Like last year, what was the issue for so much of the season? From game to game, it was one lineup or the other. The starters were awesome and the bench sucked, or the starters sucked and the bench was awesome. We could never get everybody on the same page. We talked about that for weeks and weeks last year. And game 1, this second unit is really still learning to gel. They talked about that in the presser, Cole and JI, like the potential that unit has once they really start to figure each other out. And that's just going to be so much fun.
Yeah, and you got to look at, we got to see, instead of like platoon swaps, we actually got to see rotations tonight. And obviously Cole, first man in, first sub, checks in for Suggs around like the little under 6-minute mark in that first quarter. And then shortly after, Joe Ingles, Mo, and Gary come in for Franz, Cal, and Wendell. So then your lineup that you're looking at as your true like bench unit at that point is, after Cole plays a little bit with the starters, is Cole, Gary, Paolo was still in at this point. Cole, Gary, Joe Ingles, Paolo, and Mo. And then 2 minutes left in the first, JI comes in for Paolo. So, then you have to end the quarter Cole, Gary, Joe, JI, and Mo. So you get a look at what's the rotations going to look like, at least to start the year, and who's a part of it, right? Kind of went exactly what we thought it would be, especially based on preseason. AB, Jet, Goga, all those guys being kind of the third string and coming in when the game's out of hand, or if guys are out due to injuries, whatever it might be. But every unit showed a lot of promise, and I'm interested to see how they continue to play. Obviously, we're just going to want more and more and more the longer this season goes on, because we just want to say like, okay, what's the mark? How many games? What's the sample size got to be for me to be like, okay, this team is actually really good, and I can trust the starters, the bench, down to the last guy on the bench that can get minutes in case of emergency.
Get me through the road trip. That's where I will not totally draw a conclusion. Like if things are rough, this is the thing. My positive bias will come through, because if things are rough on the road trip, like I'll talk myself into it. Like, oh, it's just the start of the season. They're on the road, blah, blah, blah. They're playing good teams. If we have a good road trip and we come back and we're like, 4-1 or 3-2 after that, then I'm like, yeah, we're great. Like we're incredible. What was your opinion on Jalen tonight?
Speaking of confidence, we talked about it a little bit with Jonathan Isaac, but the dude just, it didn't matter. That first three went in, and it was like all bets were off. First three of the game goes in, first points of the game for the Magic, and then it's just Jalen looking for a shot. And don't get me wrong, like there's going to be points where Jalen Suggs might irritate you some this year because you're like, whoa, why is he taking that shot? But I was comforted about it, especially, and I didn't really have too much of an issue with it, to be honest with you. I mean, we're having fun. This game's getting out of hand anyway. The Magic just dominating it from start to finish. But Jamal Mosley talks about it. He said, we want him taking those shots. And that tells me we've seen him make these shots. We've seen him get in a groove, and he might not have been making them tonight, but when he does, it's going to be a scary sight for other teams because Jalen Suggs has all the confidence in the world right now. We talked about his shift in perspective and how he seemed very different at media day and talked about it outwardly about it. He shoots tied for the most field goal attempts tonight with Cole Anthony. He shoots 3 of 12, 2 of 7 from 3, and finishes with 8 points and 4 rebounds. I mean, he's flying around, playing great defense as expected, but it's just going to be a little different. He's in the starting lineup now. He's trying to find his place too in that starting lineup. When do I go? When do I stop? Things that everybody in the starting lineup besides him got the opportunity to work the kinks out of last year. So we're just going to see him figure out this process. I think it's going to get better game by game. He's going to learn. He's going to have inefficient nights. We don't need to hit the panic button. As long as he is still shooting, then I'm completely fine. Because there are times maybe when Jalen last year would have been ice cold and said, I'm just going to distribute and play defense. And tonight, he just kept throwing them up. And I was like, man, that's what beginning of the season's for. You're in the starting lineup trying to find your way. I'm not concerned at all about Jalen Suggs. I think I loved really what I saw from him. He just has to make the shots. He's getting them. He's creating space. He's open. Just got to get him to go down.
Yeah, 2 of 7 from behind the arc. I think there were 1 or 2 that I wasn't really in love with, but the rest were like, I mean, you've got the look. He's taking it like, he wasn't thinking about it. I think that is promising, but the results have to come. There were a few others that were like off the dribble mid-range jumpers that we've seen him hit plenty of, like really improved last year in doing so. So like by no means like hit the panic button.
Right.
But yeah, like tonight it was a stark contrast from what we've seen from him in the past, where it's like, I've got a little bit of daylight. This shot is absolutely going up. And I think that's coming from a confidence in the work that he put in over the summer. But at this point, like, we need results. Like if that starting unit is going to be effective offensively long term, he has got to be able to knock down those shots, especially when he's open. So that's something that obviously we'll continue to talk about as the season goes on. But looking through the other guy I wanted to talk about, Anthony Black. Anthony Black came in, played 9 minutes, comes in, gets the and one, like the little floater, like right away, and then has like back-to-back blocks. The second one on Amen Thompson that was originally called the foul. The game is already out of hand at this point.
I loved that.
And the entire bench is up once they showed the replay in the arena, like calling for the challenge. Mose calls timeout, gets the challenge. The bench erupts. The challenge is successful. And Anthony Black just looked so much more like composed and confident in this game than any point that we saw him in the preseason. Like, this is the kid that we thought we were drafting. and he looked just one game, 9 minutes against the other teams, like third stringers.
Mm-hmm.
But man, he just looked so much better and more confident tonight. That was really encouraging.
Yeah, I think a big part of it, I think obviously he settled. I mean, that's what the preseason's for. He's maybe settled in a little bit more. I'm sure he had still jitters. Regardless, it's technically NBA debut. But it does help to come into the game when your team is up big. Like the other team, you're in because the other team waved the white flag, right? But I was really proud of his effort tonight. Like you said, those 2 blocks were electric. And just getting to see everybody play in this game from 1 to 15, it was awesome. And especially, I'm sure, as like a coach, Jamal Mosley was ecstatic that all of his guys got some run tonight and that they put themselves in a position to do that. I think that should be the goal, right? Like that should be the end goal, is to just get as many reps as possible for AB and Jet, especially in that third unit, because you're winning by so much. And that's like, I ever since I've heard Phil say it like a while ago, he always says, what do you say? Good teams are good in the clutch, but great teams avoid like close games, basically, is the point of it. I butchered the saying, but the point stands. Like, great teams avoid close games. The Magic avoided close games. We are seemingly one step closer to being the team that we want to be, and this was a great way to start it.
Yeah, I think, obviously, I was talking to people outside of the game, before the game, and people were concerned about Anthony Black, and I'm like, hey, it's been 5 seconds. Like, let's relax. So it was really great to see the way that he was able to sort of settle a little bit, albeit game was already out of hand. Not much that he really had to worry about. But yeah, it was good to see Anthony Black play pretty well. Hey, I want to let you know really quickly. 1 game in, the Magic are 6th in offensive rating, and they're 1st in defensive rating. Hey. Magic are the best team in the league. 1 game in, folks. Let me go back to that. And net rating, okay. The Magic have the best net rating in the league. 1 game in with a 30.3 net rating. Next are the Indiana Pacers at 19.7. Okay. Magic, 1 game in, best team in the league.
Oh, they blew out the Wizards.
Just the vibes, man. Like, let's talk about that just for another couple of minutes. Like, it was so much fun. Like, this was genuinely one of the most fun nights, days of being a Magic fan that I can remember in a very, very, very long time.
Yeah.
Everybody's excited, and like, tonight was like, this is why we've been excited all off season.
And guys, if there's ever a low point in this season, which there will be, you could be a Wizards fan. My goodness. Jordan Poole tonight, I don't mean to take away from this moment, Jonathan, because I do want to talk about that again. Jordan Poole has 18 points on 18 shots tonight, and they lose by 23 to Indiana. So,
one of my buddies in our fantasy basketball league, and Keith, if you're listening, he was like, I went into this draft with 1 player in mind, Jordan Poole. And I was like, why, bro? He is not like that. Like, sure, he can get super hot, but then he can have games like that.
Dude, just incredible.
Anyway, back to the vibes.
Yes, the vibes were awesome. And
Gary Harris hit that 3 at the beginning of the 4th quarter, and we were yelling that the Magic were winning the championship.
Yeah. You have to. I think it's fan law. And listen, if this road trip goes well, Jonathan, I feel bad for the Lakers coming to play. I am happy I'm going to be very interested. There will obviously be a decent amount of Lakers fans at that game. But if the Magic have a decent road trip, that home
and
game,
come home 5-0 after beating the Lakers on the road.
If we're 5-0, the pants are coming off. But 5-0, I won't know what to do with myself. I don't know if I can handle that. But regardless, that first game back at Amway after the road trip, respectable. That's all I want on the road trip. That is going to be an electric Amway, because people see the Magic win by 30, and then they're just itching to get back. itching to find that feeling again or experience it for the first time. And I guarantee you that'll be experienced in that game against the Lakers because we should be competitive in this game. We expect to be competitive in that game. So if you have the opportunity to go to that game and wave goodbye to the Lakers fans as they head for the exits when the Magic win by 20. You know? Sounds like a great deal to me.
Something that drove me crazy tonight with like 3 or 4 minutes left, Magic fans were heading for the exits. Knock that crap off. Knock it off.
Regardless.
Like, stop. The extra 5 or 10 minutes that you're going to save in traffic is not worth it.
And you miss out on Anthony Black and Jet Howard playing in their debut. Jerks.
Cole Anthony, after the game, he's like, man, it was so cool to actually have Magic fans in the building. Because he said the last few years we had God knows who's fans in this building, but it wasn't Magic fans. So just like, oh man, like this is what we've been waiting for. Like we've been waiting to get back to this point, like since Dwight left, where the team is good, where the city is excited about the team. And like, you know, we were starting the Let's Go Magic chants, like, you know, on the concourse at Amway and down the escalator. And like, it's fun and it's cool to be a Magic fan again because the Magic are fun, the Magic are cool, and the Magic are going to be good. It's fantastic.
The Magic are good.
We're back. We are so back.
We're so
All
back.
right. Friday in Portland. Portland lost by 12 tonight to the Clippers. But from everything that I'm hearing about that game is the game wasn't really that close. And looking at Portland, like even going back to the preseason, they won one game in the preseason, and it was against the New Zealand Breakers. They went 1-3 in the preseason. For the most part tonight, we're getting blown out by the Clippers. And now you've got the, you know, 6th offensive rating and the number 1 defensive rating and the number 1 net rating team coming to town in the Orlando Magic on Friday. Like should the Trailblazers even show up on Friday?
I don't think so. And how would you feel if in the season opener your $33 million a year man had 4 points and 5 fouls, DeAndre Ayton?
Oh no.
Yeah. He did have 12 rebounds, so good. He had 1 assist and 3 turnovers as well.
How did Jeremy Grant do? I have Jeremy Grant.
13
he was all right.
13 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist.
Anthony Simons,
Brogdon was the guy, and Anthony Simons, they combined for 38.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah,
honestly, we should beat Portland. We absolutely should beat Portland.
You should. You should, and I hope you do.
Yeah, should absolutely beat Portland. But yeah, Luke, I think that's going to do it for this. Like this is going to be a night that I'm going to remember for a really long time. If you're in the building, I think you will too. I hope the fun came through on the broadcast. And let's just keep this going. Let's have a good road trip. And then when the Magic come back, you know, next Saturday on the 4th to take on the Lakers, let's make it a Magic crowd, not a Magic and Lakers or not a Lakers crowd. Like let's make that a Magic crowd. That's what I'm hoping for, Luke.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the last thing, leave you guys with this. Houston, the Magic are a problem.
I like it. You kind of stole it.
You like it because you said it.
That's okay. That's all right. That's fine. That's great. All right, that is going to do it for this one. It's almost 2 a.m. We need to go to bed. For Luke Sylvia, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You all have been listening to The Sixth Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya.
Thanks for listening to The Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sixth Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!